Andre, the Bull Harrison is here. We've been waiting for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was, my taller younger brother Randy Brown is getting ready to fight, so I was over there helping him.
We're gonna have him on too. Yeah. Good. I mean, listen, I understand. Listen, you guys are some of the best in the world, and I get it. But still, next time.
Next time,
I'm gonna have someone with you, like chasing you around. You're gonna have your own chauffeur. Listen, guys, I think you all know who he is, but he's the Ring of Combat champ. He's the Titan champ. He's the World Series of Fighting champ. Andre Harrison here, undefeated, 16-0, right? 17-0.
17.
All right, my
mistake. Snuck one in under you.
17-0. Man's unstoppable. Make sure to speak into that microphone and lean. Yeah, okay, that's good. Sir. Yeah. And, the Vanguard show is a little different than other shows. So I want to know about you, okay? It's not just about, your next fight and how did you perform in your last fight, da-da-da. We'll get to that. I want to know about you. How did you get into this? How did you start MMA? How did you find Keith? Oh, you're not in the camera.
That's perfect. All right, cool. So MMA. Funny enough, one of my closest friends, his name is Tyshawn Patrick. When we were growing up, we were wrestling. We wrestled through middle school, high school, college, and he used to always tell me that I was gonna end up fighting, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that, man. I wanted to be a lawyer actually. Oh. And when I got to college, one of my training partners, his name is drawing a blank now. JT Hudson. There we go.
Okay.
So JT Hudson, he was fighting at the time, and he had the No Mercy Extreme title.
Okay.
At 145 in Colorado Springs.
All right.
And that show had a couple of guys that came out of Colorado that did well, and but he had no training partners in Kansas where we went to college at. So he asked me if I could help him out. So first time we were going, we started sparring around a little bit, and it was just boxing with takedowns. When it was just boxing and takedowns, I felt, I held my own, But
with the boxing too.
With the boxing, with the takedowns, I was right.
Felt natural.
I felt good. But then when we, added in kicks, a lot of people don't realize. Because when you watch fights, guys get kicked, they don't wince, maybe you see their leg get kicked out a little bit, but they're right back on track.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand how much a kick actually hurt, especially if it's landed or thrown properly.
Right.
And so when we started incorporating kicks, I'm getting my leg hacked, and I'm like, man, I'm about to kick him back, And I go to kick him back, and of course my technique is all flawed. And so when I go to throw the kick, he steps in and hit me with a nice overhand left. And, we finished out everything, and we were going and stuff. But then when I went home, my jaw was sore as ever. It was right on the jaw. And so the next morning I'm eating breakfast, and I feel it every chew I take. I feel it. So I'm like, you know what? I got to get this guy back. Got to get this guy back.
That's what makes a winner. Go on.
Yeah, so I started training, and funny enough, when I was an amateur, I didn't know any better. I used to go on YouTube, type in some of the guys that I idolize as my favorite fighters, and I would write down some of their favorite combinations that they would throw, most often throughout a couple different fights, and I would practice it on the bag.
Right.
And so eventually, I got to the point where I got him back, but that was like a week before my first amateur fight. And once I got out there for my amateur fight, that was all she wrote.
That was it.
I was.
And you were undefeated as an amateur, as well.
6-0 as an amateur.
6-0.
Yeah.
And how did you make the jump from over there to New York and Keith and?
Well, funny enough, I'm in Colorado Springs, especially at that time frame. The amateur fights were no headgear, no shin guards.
The way it should be.
It was pretty much. It was not pretty much. It was pro rules.
Right.
It was just 3-minute rounds. And so for me, making a change from being a pro amateur fighter to a pro fighter, it wasn't a matter of getting comfortable with elbows and knees, but more so a matter of cardio.
Right.
You having to now fight 5-minute rounds instead of 3-minute rounds.
Right.
And so one of my older brother's good friends is friends with LaRon McCravey, who trains at Belmore for I think we was talking about the other day, maybe 9-10 years now. And so LeBron told him, you know, bring Dre in because one of the guys that used to train at Belmore had a fight and he was getting ready to, you know, fight a wrestler. So it would have been, you know, good practice for the both of us.
Okay.
And so when I first walked into Belmore, I spoke to Spiro, who's now my cardio coach. And Spiro, you know, told me, well, you know, Keith is not here right now, but, you know, he'd be the person who you know, be training with and stuff. And, you know, he told me to come back at a specific time and date. But that day that we were supposed to come in, my family moved from Freeport to Brooklyn.
Okay.
And so I missed my time frame to go in and speak to Keith, and so I felt bad. I was like, damn, I'm late on the day I'm supposed to meet the dude that's supposed to be helping me, man. So I sat up there and I called the gym and I spoke to Spiro again, or maybe left a message for Keith that, you know, I was still coming. I told him literally like it was a thing where I got to the house, my family was moving, and I had to help, and you know, but I was gonna come as soon as we got done dropping off the truck to where my family now lives in Brooklyn. I legitimately jumped on the train and went straight to Belmore. So I jumped on the subway, got on the LIRR, jumped on the bus from Freeport, and took it straight to Belmore, and I walked in and I spoke to Keith, and Keith looked at me. One of the first things he said was, well, I can tell you right now, you're not a 155er, you're a 145er. And he was like, lucky enough for you, you know, we got a lot of guys in and around your size that, you know, you could work with. We got Terrence Hill, and this is his words exactly. He was like, Terrence Hill, the kid is small or whatever, but he's fast as ever. And can we cuss?
Yeah, cuss.
I am mimicking Keith.
Good.
He was like, the kid is small, you know, but he's fast as shit. He can and he can fucking fight, you know. He can fight. He throws beautiful kicks, beautiful combinations, and everything. And he was like, we have Chris Algieri here. He looks like a gay European model, but the guy can fucking fight. You know what I'm saying? And you can be thrown in the mix with these guys, and you know, elevate your game, you know, a lot. And I was like, all right, man, I'm here. Whatever days and times you tell me to be here, whatever I need to do, you know, I'll do it. And you know, I told him I couldn't afford them, you know, but I'll do what I can if you need me to mop the mats or pick up stuff around the gym, whatever, I'll do it. And so we did that for 2 weeks because I had a prior commitment to go back out to Colorado and train with Team Wildman with Thomas Denny.
Okay.
And you know, so I was just trying to get in shape, and that way I could get out there and be ready to go, you know, for training camp because I had an amateur fight already lined up. Okay. And in that 2 weeks, I felt like my whole knowledge of what MMA could and should be was like
turned upside down.
All full front street. Like I was able to see like my idea was, you know, since I was All-American in college wrestling, all I needed to learn was, you know, how to strike to my takedowns, and then that would be it. You don't understand that there's always a flip side to that coin. You know, just being able to take somebody down is never enough. No. You know, because what happens if you got somebody like a Damian Maia or a Jacare, you know, if you take those guys down, that's when the fight is not going to start. You know? These are guys who you don't want to meet on the ground, and so you have to find alternative ways to win, which is what MMA, in my opinion, is all about. Right. You know, your skill set versus my skill set, and who's going to find that way to win. Right. And so, you know, learning, you know, about boxing, like actually boxing, you know, and learning about kickboxing and Muay Thai and legitimately like doing everything. Like I've sparred countless rounds with just above the waist kickboxing. I've done countless rounds with just, you know, Muay Thai, with just, you know, kickboxing with knees and everything like that, elbow pads on it. You know, I've done, you know, the jiu-jitsu with the MMA glove. You know, just you do everything that you could possibly do, and find things that you're good at and go about it. And so in that 2 weeks time, it didn't feel like 2 weeks. It felt like I was there for like months, you know, because I was there so much. Right. And by the time I had to go back, I did not enjoy the training that I got over there. And I was on the phone with Keith every single day complaining about it. Like, really? They made me do this today. I just don't feel that's right. What should I do instead, or what could I do instead? And he would literally direct me over the phone. And I would go back to the gym when nobody else was there, and I would do what he told me to do. And this happened at least 2 or 3 times a day, every single day, from the day that I got there. And then eventually, my fight that I had set up got canceled, and that was like the last straw. Keith said he knew 3 days in that I was coming back, and and so he actually bought my plane ticket to come back home.
Really?
And from that day forward, man, I've been at Belmore. That was like 7 years ago. I've been there almost pretty much every day since. Like,
and that's it.
Yeah, that's all she wrote.
That was it. You didn't have a moment of I guess doubt. Do I really want to do this? Is this where I want my life to be? You didn't have any moment of, maybe I don't want to be a fighter.
Yeah, I did have a moment, and I don't want to get all religious on anybody, but what
okay.
happened to me was when I first got back. Again, I didn't have, I didn't come back to live home. Like, I was living elsewhere,
right?
And I didn't have a job at the time, so it was
tough.
Pretty much, it's living off of scraps, pretty much.
I know.
And so, I would literally, like, you'd have $5, right, to last you for, a day, a couple days or whatever. And it was either walk from, my friend's house that lived in Freeport, walk from his house to the gym, or and have, that $5 where I could use it for food, or right, take the bus and then, not be able to eat. And so a couple times Keith saw that after we would train, I would just hang around, get my wind back, and then I'd go work out again. And then he would be like, dude, did you even fucking eat yet? And I was like, no. He was like, well, what are you waiting for? You're supposed to eat within a half hour of your workout. And I was like, yeah, but, you're kind of embarrassed to say, like, well, I can't get food. I don't really have the money for it. And so I guess he caught wind that I didn't want to say it, and he went in his wallet, he gave me money, and he'd give me money on a regular basis and be like, here, go up the block, go to Zorn's, and he'd tell me what to get to eat, come back. So I'd eat half of it, so I'd have to eat right then and there,
right,
wait a little bit, work out, and then I'd walk home, and I'd have the
rest,
the rest to eat for dinner, and then I'd get, come back the next day.
Oh, that's so, wonderful.
My moment came when I was up late one night on YouTube watching, all kind of videos, and this one dude had a testimony, and I listened to it, and I figured, all right, well, if his testimony went like that, even though it's, years later, it's still the same God that everybody's praying to, so if it worked for him, it should work for me. In a nutshell, I was just asking for a sign, like, if fighting is what I'm supposed to do, then, when I'm walking to the gym, I'm going to find something out, like, be able to get home without walking back home for a change, or get a ride, or somebody give me something for food, or something. Right. Something happens, where I'm all right for today.
You're asking for a sign from the Lord, from the universe. I'm
supposed to be going to the gym today, right?
Right.
And I didn't even reach 2 blocks in the morning before I got a phone call from a friend that said, hey, Dre, you still going to the gym today? And I was like, yeah. And this is a gentleman that I don't speak to very, very often.
Right.
It's just like one of those once in a blue. I didn't even have his number saved. That's to let you know how often I spoke to this gentleman. And he was like, yo, I'm going to be in Nassau County today. I was looking to get a workout. Can I, I know the gym has like blocks where, you could train people and give a certain price. He's like, if I gave you $100 and then paid my gym fee, is there any way, you could train me for an hour? Wow. And I was sitting up there and I was just like, oh, shoot.
And you asked for it that particular day.
I was like, well, the night before I asked for it, and it came like that following day. I guess maybe the good Lord knew I was at my wit's end. Like, it was... nobody knows how hard it is in the beginning, man, right, for certain people. Only those people that actually go through the ringer knows how bad it is in the beginning. But, I still joke with some of my friends to this day. Like, I used to be at their house and I'd be scraping up all their change, and they'd be like, well, Dre, what are you doing? I was like, I need this for the bus. You got to make it to the gym somehow, some way. So
and people think that when you turn pro, you make money. That's not the case
you
either.
Don't make money, man. Man, when I first turned pro and I was fighting Ring of Combat, which is an excellent platform for fighters for many different reasons.
Right.
You get the exposure, you get to fight quality fights and get quality experience. But one of the things about it is you fighting for ticket sales. So unless you're a popular individual that you can sell 20, 30, 40 tickets, you don't really make very much money. And despite how many friends you have on Instagram or Facebook or stuff like that, it's not easy for you to tell somebody, listen, what I need you to do is take Friday off from work.
Right.
All right. I need you to buy a hotel in Atlantic City.
Right.
All right.
Or carpool with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And get over there.
Carpool, however. But I need you to spend an excessive amount of money and buy this ticket on top of that.
Right.
And you're doing this. I used to fight every other month, every 2-3 months, however often I could fight.
Right.
So you're telling somebody to do this on a regular basis. It's not an easy thing to ask of anybody,
Right. And sometimes when you accept these fights, they're on holidays.
Yeah.
You don't even realize it when you accept it, and it's like some major holiday is happening or some major thing is happening, and you can't sell any tickets.
Exactly, and you're just sitting up there. I remember I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I remember selling like maybe 5-7 tickets of my own, and Keith selling like 10-15 for me, and that's, that was me, that was payday, for me,
right.
Coming up as an amateur through ring until I made it to a level where they were starting to pay me just to show up, but that's
it's tough, man.
that road is tough, man, and people don't understand. Like MMA it's so many different ways for you to lose. You know what I'm saying? And once you lose, it's like everybody just throws you under the bus, man. It's like I know it's almost sad because like. They don't care how you lost. It just matters that you lost.
But you haven't lost.
Knock on wood. Not on the big stage, man. But I mean, you've been there plenty of times during sparring sessions. We spar extremely hard. We train extremely hard at the gym, and so,
your team is my favorite team. You and Gregor, man. You guys just keep getting better and better. Now you're the knockout guy, right?
Yo, Gregor, man, I'm so happy and proud of that dude right there, man.
Yeah.
I wish we had a video of Gregor when he first started. Like, so
tell us, come on.
All right, so let's say Keith's been training people and fighters for over 20 years now, right? Mm-hmm. Or in and around 20 years now. And out of everybody that you could imagine would walk through a door and ask to fight, you as a gym owner, I'm sure you've seen a handful. Keith would tell you firsthand that Gregor was the worst to ever start.
Really?
The absolute worst.
Interesting.
And so when you see somebody like that go from only having wrestling, and I don't want to say only as if wrestling is a bad skill set to start with, because I think it's the best, and not saying that because I started on wrestling.
I think it's the best too.
I just think you have so much, you have just such a great head start because you can dictate where the fight goes. If I wanted to go to the ground, I'll take you down. If I wanted to stay standing, I will stuff all of your takedowns and keep it on the feet. But Gregor, like when he was wrestling, his best attributes was his pressure. That anybody that knows Gregor knows he does not get tired. He will shoot on your leg 1,000 times to get one takedown.
Yes, I know.
And then once he gets on top of you, it's almost lights out. He doesn't let you. It's like a wet blanket. You know? And so to watch him go from that to now knocking guys out in the first 20, 30 seconds and, winning in my opinion, he won every single exchange in his last fight before submitting that dude.
Right.
Watching his game develop, man, I almost don't even feel like a teammate.
But when I said knockout, I was talking about you. You're the knockout guy now.
Not me.
Yeah.
I'm friendly out there.
Listen, man, I've known for a long time that your stand-up was awesome. Yeah. And I guess it took you some time to start using it, but it's awesome. And your low kicks, if you land them, you make people, and I've seen you drop people I know, with that low kick. You take them, you sweep them off their feet with that low kick. I mean, you got some power behind that. And you can fight lefty and you can fight righty. Yep. That's really important. Keith posted something the other day saying you've accomplished everything that there is to accomplish. Now tell me, you've won some great belts. You fought some guys, there were wrestlers, there were strikers, there were in between, all around. Nobody had anything for you. you've gone into deep waters and gotten out. You know, it seems like I've seen you in triangles, and they're not even like stopping you from breathing. You know, and you get out of it. Do you want that big show? Is that where? Because I think it's a great achievement. You know, what you've done, World Series of Fighting. That's pretty big. You looking for that big show, and if so, where do you want to start? Who's the guy that you want?
So here's my whole thing on it, right? One of the main reasons that I fight outside of loving it and, you know, all that other good stuff is the fact that, you know, it is a job, you know.
Right, of course.
And so for me, I want to fight wherever and for whomever is willing to pay me the most, you know.
Right.
So if that happens to be PFL now or UFC or Bellator or ONE FC, I don't care what promotion I'm fighting for. I just want to know that after my fight, I'm all right. You know, I don't want to fight and then be like, oh man, if I.
And you have a beautiful daughter too.
Exactly, I have a daughter. You know, I gotta make sure that she has everything that she needs as well. And so I can't fight and then, you know, gotta rush to jump right back into another one just so, you know, the next bills could be paid. Like, nah. Right. So for me right now, I'm in a good spot. I think I have a great record. I've done some great things, and so I have the ability where I can kind of weigh my options. Right. And you know, PFL is talking big talks with you know, a huge tournament and a huge opportunity for people that win the tournament, and especially coming on the scene and within 2 fights capturing the title, beating the guy who many people considered world class in Lance Palmer. And, you know, taking the title from him in a bout that I thought was decisive, you know, I think I'm in a good spot to pretty much do whatever I want, you know. But if I had to go to the UFC, I would want, similar to how Justin Gaethje jumped right in and fought somebody in the top 5, I would want to jump right in. And
right into the top 5, yeah.
If I can go to the UFC, my first fight be Max Holloway, I'd fight Max Holloway my first fight in the UFC. I don't see the point in waiting.
Okay.
You know, I'm where I'm at in my career where I feel comfortable fighting somebody or fighting anybody no matter what their skill set is.
Has that conversation happened? Were you reached out to by UFC in the past?
Yeah, but it wasn't anything worth, you know, really
jumping over.
Yeah, jumping over the horse for.
Okay.
You know, just regular talks.
Just regular talks.
Just regular talks.
Okay. I mean, I speak about this here. I think UFC sometimes ruins more careers than it builds. You know, in your case, it's different. You're ready for the top competition. Sometimes people aren't, and then sometimes UFC gives you that call during the worst time of your life, and then it's up to you to just take it. And you know they might never call you again. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
I remember guys. You know, going to bat for me on Twitter and all over social media about like last minute fights. Like I was fighting in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, wherever it was, on 3 days' notice, and everybody's like, put Andre in there. And I'm like, and it was against somebody who I believe was in the top 5 at the time, and I'm like, I have no problem fighting this person, but right now I'm like 168, 170. You want me to lose 20 plus pounds in 2 days, and one of my days is going to be spent traveling? Makes no sense.
No, doesn't make sense.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do this for what?
And that's what
Just
I mean.
To say I'm a UFC fighter?
Yeah, that's what they do. You know, they do that. Otherwise, every time you call as a manager, you know, you call, you keep following up, and they're like, "We're full. 145 is full." 145 is full. That's what you hear all the time. 145 is stacked, but they'll only call you back if they need you, you know, to fight someone in the top 10, and it's got to be like on a few minutes, you know, a few days notice. Yeah. Most people do jump at it.
Yeah, some people do, and you know, more power to them. But me, if you know, I'll take a last minute fight again. I'm always trained. I sparred 8 to 9 rounds yesterday. You know, and I just found out on the way in I'm sparring several rounds tomorrow. You know?
Okay.
And so I'm not.
I think Levon's going to be there with you.
Yes. And and I'm in shape to go as many rounds as I need to go.
Right.
I can do whatever I want to do. I'm never out of shape.
Right.
And I'm never not training. I'm always training. And so, you know, taking a last minute fight, it's not an issue. The issue would be, whether or not it's the right opportunity. Not every opportunity is meant for every person.
Of course. I want to talk about something. I don't know if you're okay with it. I know there was some tragedy in your family in the past. And knowing you for such a long time, I don't ask things like that.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to let us know what happened? And what's on your mind? Do you even want to go that deep?
Yeah, I don't want to go into that.
You don't want to go into that. Okay, that's fine.
It's
I understand. It's a tough one, I don't even know everything about it. I don't know much about it, to tell you the truth. I just heard stuff, and
No, I did. How did I even? All right. So what happened was I was doing it. Nobody really knows. It's not something that I talk about very, very often. What happened was a gentleman reached out to me from Sherdog, and for whatever reason, it did not feel like it was an interview. It didn't feel like anything like that. And we was only supposed to be talking for maybe 15, 20 minutes tops.
Right.
I was on the phone with this guy for over an hour, and we were just conversing back and forth, just bouncing things off of each other. He told me stuff about him, I told him stuff about me, and we just started going. And before you know it, he was like, "Dre, like you'd realize that on most MMA forums, they don't even know how old you are. Like nobody knows anything about you,
Right.
Except for the fact that you win fights,
Right.
And he was like, "Here you are. You have a story and a half, and nobody knows it." But I'll give a brief,
synopsis of it.
The brief synopsis was when I was in college. I got a call from one of my younger brothers stating that my older brother, was no longer with us. And,
It's got to be one of the most devastating things.
Immediately you want to feel or believe that it's a joke and that it's not, realistic or anything like that. But then in the background you can hear, people crying and, things like that. And so a gentleman that I was really, really close to got me a plane ticket that same day to come home like the first thing in the morning. And when I got home, just watching everybody just ruined, like this, he's really like no longer, and then in those kind of moments you start to think like, damn, like you start to think little things about people, because it's my older brother that I'm 2 years difference, with. So right now I'm 29, he would have been 31, and you start to think about past memories that you guys had, and little things like how somebody laughs, certain things they used to say on a regular basis that you're no longer gonna be able to hear again. It just kind of just tears you up.
I know.
One of the biggest things with that, and why that has such a heavy impact on me, is because he used to swim. And swim season at the time was the same time as wrestling season.
Right.
And so it was one of those things where one of us was going to be able to, be in athletics, and the other was going to have to get my other two younger brothers to make sure they got home safe off the school bus. And, because he was the older brother, he had the choice. So if he wanted to keep swimming, he could have. But he was like, listen, I'll go get him, but you got to make sure, you go full out with wrestling. You can't,
right.
BS it. And so, I did the best I could with it, and I know I have a short, stocky build, but he was like 6'3" and slim, so he had a swimmer's build. He wasn't, he
right.
could have been great at that too.
And he's been a big inspiration in your life.
Yeah.
Listen, it's intense. I don't know, I just brought it up to see, because all I've done is heard things, and I when I hear things, I don't want to talk about them usually unless it's with the person from the source to know what it is. But
from a horse's mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, it's quite a story that people don't understand what fighters go through, to get there. What you've explained is pretty much what all the best go through, and it seems like a fighter has to go through the trials and tribulations, in order to come out. nobody goes through it easy, right?
No.
Everybody's got to have some sort of hard, tough story. And if they can defeat their life, then they can defeat their opponents, you know? And that's what it's all about. You were saying PPL?
PFL, Professional Fighters League. So
they've changed?
Yeah, so a lot of people refer to it as World Series of Fighting.
Right.
And, still a lot of the same major players are still involved. Ray Seffo,
right.
Carlos, all those guys are still involved. But what I believed happened was a lot of somebody came and they had a lot of money and bought, I believe, a big piece,
okay,
or a big stake in the company. And, they wanted to do something different, so that the fighters come out the winners. There's no secret that a lot of the professional fighters don't get paid as much as they probably could or
right.
should, and so, PFL is trying a different setup where the fighters get paid more money, a little more comfortable, and, with that, they're offering all the guys that was on the World Series roster contracts, right. And, if you should compete, you'll enter into a tournament, and right. The winner of the tournament gets $1 million.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
I got my money on you. And how does this work? Is 16 men? How many men start off?
It's an 8-man tournament.
8-man tournament. And how often do you fight? How does it work? Do you actually fight multiple fights the same day?
Only one night. I think the semifinal night of the tournament. So you'll do the quarters and the semis on the same day.
Really?
And the finals would be like 2 or 3 months later. And again, this is all kind of rumored. I'm not entirely too sure, so don't take this, as a
well, no, it's okay.
But the finals would be like 2 months later or something like that. And
fighters attract to money, and money, when even when people who just like to watch fights hear that there's money involved, then it becomes more serious,
Ups the ante.
Yeah, and I don't know why, because we were talking about this last week. There was like an organization to basically get more money and give more rights to the fighters, and they fell apart.
I'm not, what it is? You know what I think it is? It's because most fans associate mixed martial arts with UFC. They don't understand that UFC is just a promotion under the umbrella of mixed martial arts.
Yes.
And so a lot of other promotions, for example, this past Friday, Bellator had an amazing card on.
Right.
They had Daniel Strauss was on there. The Wolf, I forgot what his real name is, but he was also a national champ from NC State. He beat Darion Caldwell in the finals. Huge upset. There's several promotions that have great fights,
right?
And people don't even pay notion to it because it's not a UFC fight. Therefore, those guys aren't good, which is you couldn't be more ignorant. Like there's
of course
many guys.
Every time UFC has bought over a big organization, those guys become the champions of UFC.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? UFC doesn't have the best fighters.
No.
And they, like I said, they ruin more people than they build.
So, what needs to happen is there needs to be other promotions that are offering the same amount of money,
right,
for each fighter as the UFC does, or has the same kind of marketing power, or just the similar tools where they can rival the UFC. And
I was talking last week about this. What about like boxing? So you have UFC, like WBO, WBC, all these different organizations, unified belts, have people fight within them, and maybe more money would come into it.
And I think eventually that will happen. It's just right now they're just crushing it.
It's just not in the interest of UFC to do it.
No,
they got all the fame.
Power.
Yes, they got all the power. They got all the fame, and they got all the money, and they get to keep most of it. Because pretty much out of the 15 guys that fight that night, or 16, they might pay some guys a little extra, but everybody else is fighting for kind of peanuts.
Yeah.
You know? And
in comparison to like other professional athletes,
of
like,
course,
you look at NFL and you look at NBA or the National Soccer League.
of course,
you know these guys. I saw somewhere, and I don't know exactly how true it is, but it just made sense to me. I'm just taking it and running with it. But
go ahead.
you know, like the owners and the athletes, you know, split whatever the profits is. You know,
Right.
50%. Maybe the athletes 60 because it's more of them, and the owners get 40%.
Okay.
Right? And now you got these guys now have, you know, multi-million-dollar contracts and, you know,
Right.
multi-million-dollar sponsors and endorsers, and, you know, that's the setup you have. With mixed martial arts, it's like the owners take like 85, 90%.
Right.
And then everybody else.
And now
splits
they're telling
10.
you can't even have sponsors.
Yeah, now you can't have sponsors, you know?
You know?
So it's like so many guys, you know, for example, Anderson Silva, you know, 500,000 from Burger King and then another 500,000 from Nike.
Right.
And you're telling me that he now has to go for less than, 40,000 as a champ. So whatever the criteria under that is, that's what he has to now resort to.
Right. You might get lucky and get a separate endorsement from Reebok if you're on top, but everybody else doesn't get it.
No.
You know, from what I understand, Frankie Edgar, I mean, this was I don't know if it's true. Frankie Edgar was making close to 100,000 just from his sponsors. Mm-hmm. You know, and that was before and after he was champion.
And I can definitely see that. I mean, Frankie was in commercials. He was in jewelry commercials and,
right.
you know, phone commercials and everything. So he
And
had the exposure, and he is and was doing well.
Right.
And so now again, you're gonna tell me he's gonna have to take less than he's gonna have to make less than half of what he was making before.
On top of it, they make you wear a T-shirt that looks like you're some sort of pageant contestant with the. I mean, that was the worst design ever, if you ask me. What do you think about?
Yeah, I don't particularly. I'm not particularly sold on that, but you know, and then the biggest shot with that is once you look at the canvas, you still see sponsors.
Right.
You look at the octagon, you look at the canvas, you still see sponsors. So
That's right.
UFC gets to keep their sponsors, but the athletes don't.
Right.
That's not fair.
And they're doing it, and they're getting away with it.
Oh yeah. So
Some people are complaining, but then, you know what? There was more complaints in the beginning. People stopped. Why? They probably weren't getting calls for fights. And that's how they make money, is through fights. They're under contract. They don't want to leave UFC. They don't want, you know.
what would happen is everybody would have to get on the same page and be like, listen, unless you do things this way, we're not fighting.
Right.
You know, but, you know, the only people that really have the luxury to do that are the guys that are on top, because, you know, they're making $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 to fight.
Right.
All the other guys that are making, you know, maybe 10 and 10,
Right.
those guys, they're grateful for that 10 and 10.
They are.
So if they don't fight and get that 20,000, they're in trouble, you know. And
Right.
most people, they got families, you know. You got kids and
Right.
you know, a wife. You're gonna get out there and you're gonna fight and you're gonna take what they give you.
I understand you got to start some people low, okay? But after they finish their 3 to 4 fight contract, and they did well, you're renewing them, bump them up significantly, you know. But they're not doing that. They're just kind of like, you know,
Whatever.
they'll take whatever they can get, you know. They'll talk you down big time. Want to know who's your favorite fight? I'm not talking about in your weight class. I'm just talking about who's your favorite fighter other than yourself.
My heart is broken, man. I would have said John Jones.
Mine too.
But
I said the same thing.
John Jones, I just think that dude is just.
My heart is
he's
broken
just
too.
Bred to fight, but I mean, I'm like, come on, dude, like.
So we're thinking the same way. I mean, every time we spoke on the Vanguard show, when we speak about John Jones, everyone's quick to dog him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, it's a fucking shame. You know? And I don't even know what happened. Maybe he did take a Viagra.
Here's my thing. Whatever he may have took, like a lot of people, like they want to like negate his entire career,
Right.
You know,
And his skill set,
Yeah.
which is
It doesn't-
seems like it's above everyone else.
listen, Right now, if I went out and I took any and everything I could possibly take, it doesn't mean that I can grab a baseball and throw it 110 miles an hour like some of the top pitchers.
You're right.
You know, that's not going to make me run and dunk a ball over LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? People have certain gifts.
Right.
And whatever they take may amplify or whatever a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make them Superman.
And people are not taking it to be Superman. They're taking it to heal.
Yeah.
You know, because there's nobody on the planet that does as much as you guys do.
Nah.
That takes as much abuse as you guys do. And people are not taking it so they can punch harder. No. They're taking it to heal because their fucking body is torn apart every night when they go home.
It does. And so, like, when people sit up there and rip him up like, oh, he wouldn't have beat these guys, I'm like, I don't know about that. I think he would have.
I think he still would have.
It's just, I don't know, man.
And when he came out, the first few fights, when I saw him, I was like, this guy is just doing things I've never even imagined could be done, you know? I think, and listen, last time, he was on coke and he won?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, when you find someone on cocaine or marijuana and they're winning, then they are awesome. Because that doesn't enhance you whatsoever.
I mean, who knows? I've never, done anything like no cocaine or marijuana or anything like that, so I wouldn't know what you feel like. Or
it doesn't enhance you.
But
I'm not saying I did it, but it doesn't enhance you.
But if we're talking about fighters that were on the roster right now, I mean, I don't think you can make a case against DJ Demetrius Johnson. That dude there is just unbelievable. I just think he doesn't get promoted the way he should. And I also don't
My words exactly.
I also don't think a lot of people would take to him because he's a smaller man. You know? People look at like, oh, Brock Lesnar, he can fight. No,
he can't.
He can't. He's just a big guy.
Big menacing guy. Yeah.
And he can just run it. If it's 400 pounds or 300 pounds charging at you, it's gonna do damage, but do you consider that a fight or a football tackle?
He's more scared of punches than most people. Yeah.
Well, you got somebody like DJ that's, legitimately mixing everything up as pretty as you could possibly do it and come out of most fights unscathed. Like, when was the last time you seen DJ leave a fight with a black eye or a cut on his face? Or he's just legitimately running through everybody and doing it unscathed, like doing things like the armbar he did the other night. Like,
yeah, they're calling it the Mighty Bar. How do you like that? I like the mousetrap even better. I like that.
Like, who does stuff like that?
Who does that?
I was sitting up there.
Can you throw another guy like Gregor that you train with, or any of your, partners that you train with? Can you throw someone up in the air like that?
And then, you probably, if you get behind them, I'm pretty sure you can get a good belly-to-back suplex. But to throw them, and they, when your feet leave the floor, a natural reaction is to panic. Hands and feet go everywhere. And very rarely, would you stay in the ball tight, like how, they kind of teach you how to fall.
Right, of course.
At least in wrestling they do, because you don't want to fall down the wrong way and you wake up, your stuff is all, And so, but, to be able to throw somebody, see their arm, stop what you're doing mid-throw and attack it, that's you've reached a different level there. To me, that's, a lot of people say that Mayweather's an all-time great. One of his best attributes is being able to make a change in mid-round.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize how hard something that you've been training for months to do just this, and now during the fight you have to derail all of that and now do something different.
Right.
It's difficult.
It is.
And so for him to be, attacking and stop his motion and his opponent's momentum in the same, time frame and now attack an arm, that dude's on a different level.
I think he's gotten some attention, some well-deserved attention because of that armbar.
Oh, yeah.
But what if he never pulled off that exact armbar? Just choked the guy out or a regular armbar. He wouldn't have gotten that attention. It would be a shame because he is amazing. And I've been talking about it on the show. Every time he comes up, the man who doesn't get any respect. But there is an argument out there where they say that the 125 division isn't stacked enough. And that's why he's not getting, not because of him, because everybody loves him, everybody respects him, they respect his skills, but they don't love the people that he's fighting.
I mean,
do you get what I'm saying? And it makes sense.
But one of the Ultimate Fighter shows was they took every world champ from around the world,
right? Yeah,
and poured them up against each other. And a gentleman, Tim Elliott, which came out of the Titan FC promotion, which I had the belt in at one point in time. But Tim gave him, a run for his money. So if there's no other guy on the planet that can come close to doing anything to you,
right?
Do you blame the guy that's that far ahead of the curve, or do you, what do you want them to do?
Maybe the same thing wouldn't have even happened. I mean, maybe Mighty wasn't feeling that great that day. Yeah, maybe if they fought again, he'd just kill Tim Elliott.
Again, I mean, you got to remember, there is so many different ways to lose.
Right.
So many. I watched Michael Chandler lose a fight because his ankle rolled and he couldn't put any pressure on his foot.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be a guy pulling something off on you. You can hurt yourself during that actual fight. And so for you to be pretty much perfect. In all
it's
fights,
tough.
It's not an easy thing.
It's tough. You fought Becerra. Levon fought Becerra.
Yeah.
Levon broke his foot in the first round.
Yeah.
He lost, but then came back and beat him. But still, things like that happen, man. It's just and some people get these massive injuries inside of a fight and still come out with the win.
Yeah.
And then it's tough. It's tough to do so. Not everyone can do it.
No.
I'm sure people try, but it's tough. I totally agree with you on both. John Jones is my favorite, and also Demetrius Johnson. I'm totally with that.
Everybody, a lot of people like to make the argument of GSP, but again, that was a different era.
That's what I say.
Remember, it was a different era.
Yeah.
B, all the people that are dogging John Jones now, remember, GSP was dominant pre-USADA.
Yes.
So now that he's back, and y'all expecting the same GSP that ran through the competition,
right?
I hope y'all expect that same person that comes. Was it November 4th?
Mm-hmm. I'm expecting Bisping. What do you think?
I think Bisping too. I mean, the guy took X amount of years off. He's coming back to not fight at his weight, but the weight class higher up. And I don't see him coming back and running through the way he did at one point in time. And don't get me wrong, GSP is a crazy athlete.
Yeah, not to take anything away from all his shit. Yeah.
But again, with like you said, people are not going to be performing the same pre-USADA and post-USADA. It's just not going to be.
And what about the camps that say, his own camp? You know what I mean? And they're awesome guys, and I've seen their videos, and they really know what they're doing in TriStar. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, he's also connected to Renzo Gracie and John Danaher, all that stuff. But when the guys come out and say he's reinvented himself, and he might be the best GSP you've ever seen, and if he comes out and he doesn't show that, what about the credibility of a gym who says that? Is that just fight building, or is it just credibility?
I just take it as fight building. They gotta say what they gotta say to, keep Bisping on edge, keep the fans in hope.
Right.
And also keep it in GSP's mind that, he's better than he was before, because, if you're a friend of GSP and you're training with him and you just throw him around like a rag doll, but he gets one takedown, at the end of it, he has a world title fight coming up now. So do you, keep just destroying him, and then afterwards tell him, listen, man, I don't know what you're going to do, but I don't think you're going to do well with Bisping? Or do you maybe start allowing him, certain setups so he can start to work his way back, or start, afterwards just tell him you're just having an off day, don't worry, you beat the hell out of me on Tuesday, you'll get me back next week, or it'll be more competitive next week.
Right.
What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, but I just think that, Bisping, he's been around. Mm-hmm. He's been fighting. He's never tested. You've never seen him look different one day and then look another way another day. He's consistent, and I think he's clean. I mean, who knows? But I think he's clean. He's been fighting. He's tough. He's beaten some guys that you would never think. I never thought he would beat some of those guys, to tell you the truth.
Like, when he rocked Rockhold, I'm sitting up there like,
right.
I mean, I put that fully on Rockhold. Like, he came out. I mean, again, at the end of the day, you have to remember it is a fight, and anything can happen in any given fight. And you are wearing pretty much mittens, you know. And that's the only protective gear you have is the mittens. You don't have a headgear or a helmet. You don't have shoulder pads or big boxing gloves. You don't have shin pads or boots on you.
Actually, it makes your punch stronger. It just protects your knuckles.
Exactly.
It doesn't soften up the guy's punch.
A good shot is a good
shot.
So, I mean, for you to come out that ignorant, like there's absolutely nothing this guy can do to hurt me. It's a grown man.
Right.
It's a grown man who stepped in the cage several times and beat people several times. It's not somebody that you should just look down on. And so
I called the last 4 fights of last week, and I was like, these are all, to me, mismatches. As in, I think Kevin Lee will be a great fighter one day. I don't think he was ready for Ferguson.
No.
Borg, same thing. Lewis and Verdum, same thing. Verdum has way too much experience. I mean, it's just, I felt like these 3 fights were just too much of a mismatch.
Kevin Lee, I mean, shouts to him, for talking into a big fight. But, I mean,
he did better than I thought, to tell you the truth.
He definitely did, but I thought when he came out in the second round, he already shown signs of fatigue. And everybody knows the saying, fatigue makes coward out of most men.
That's right.
And so,
but wasn't cardio his thing? Everyone was talking that cardio is his thing.
I just remember Gregor told me that he stated that he was the best wrestler in MMA, and and I'm just sitting up here and I'm like, well,
that's not
true.
To
take somebody down in a professional mixed martial arts bout takes a lot of energy. It's not an easy task, especially against somebody like Tony Ferguson, who's scrambly, wiry, and does a lot of weird
movements.
Stuff,
yes.
So it's not you're never gonna have a clean cut takedown on him.
Right.
And if you do once, you can't assume that the next one's gonna be that clean cut.
We spoke about you were supposed to be here after Gregor fought.
Yeah.
Great job. We spoke about Gregor and Nurmagomedov, and it was my boy versus their boy. Nurmagomedov does not want to face Gregor. I'll tell you that.
He is relentless.
He is, and I just think that. I mean, not to take anything away from Nurmagomedov, he just won't be able to do that to Gregor. You know what I mean? He will not be able to hold up. I think Gregor will hold up better.
Yeah. Well, Gregor can wrestle all day long.
All day long. That's what I'm saying.
But here's my philosophy: should that fight ever come?
Yeah.
Typically, when you have 2 really good wrestlers, the wrestling negates itself.
Right.
And people go and to start striking. And
right.
I believe that in that striking contest, Gregor will get the better of him.
I think Gregor's a better striker, and Nurmagomedov is okay in striking. He's a weird striker, so there's always something. There's something dangerous about someone who punches weird,
Yeah.
So, and I think both you and Gregor have beautiful, smooth styles, which Keith pounds into you guys day in, day out, and he makes sure the pad work. I watch it. You guys are smooth. You know what you're doing. You understand the energy transfer. You know how to throw that punch the most efficiently. I don't think he's got that. He doesn't have that in his training regimen. So if it goes down to striking, it's going to be a mixed martial arts show, If it goes down to striking, I think Gregor's got the edge, there. And Nurmagomedov will not be able to control Gregor's hips like that.
No.
I almost believe that Gregor might be able to do it to Nurmagomedov, because I've watched you guys spar. He has his thing. It works. You know, we'll see once that fight happens. But that's just my opinion. I know you agree with me. You might be a little biased, but I'm not biased, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys, but I don't think I'm being biased here. You know what I mean? I was biased towards Chris Weidman. I wanted him to win, but I told his team, maybe not the higher ups, but some people that I know from his team. I said, watch out for Yoel Romero.
Yeah, dude,
I said, this guy, he wasn't even ready to fight Weidman. It's just I watched some of his fights, and I was like, believe me, this is the guy to watch out for.
Yeah.
I know you're busy. I got you here for an hour at least. What time do you have to leave?
Like about another minute or so.
Okay, I'll finish this conversation. Quick. But yeah, remember, I thought that he was someone to watch out for.
Yeah, he's just very slow and, well, I shouldn't say slow. He's cautious and careful with how he expands his energy. And, you know, if he sees an opening, he explodes through it and, you know.
Right.
And dude got some tricks.
That slowness is like almost calm, and then explosion.
It's good. I love it.
Look like he's slow and he doesn't care.
But do you ever see the videos on him? Just his character is amazing.
Yeah,
Anyway, listen, I know you got to go, man. I know you're training and working and doing a whole bunch of things, but thanks for coming down, man. It was a great
Thanks for
talk.
having me.
You rock. And $1 million coming your way soon.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
Let's
I heard
hope.
it here first, right? Next time being here in the casino.
All right.